Welcome to Blue by 90, your Michigan football podcast. We are three dudes who talk maize and blue. I'm Kalen, joined by Nate and Jack.
Hey, yo.
What up?
And we took a little bit of time off, but today we're going to start off recapping the Michigan versus Alabama Verbo Citrus Bowl, where we kind of got shellacked, guys. I think the final score was 35-16.
Sounds right.
Yeah, trying to forget it. What do you guys think about that game?
I am so glad that Shea Patterson is gone. That is my thought. That is my thought of the game.
Well, there were rumors that he technically could, his freshman year.
He might be back.
I sure hope not. But that is my thought of the game. I mean, he had at least 7 overthrows.
Yeah.
To wide open receivers. That would have gained bunch of yards after the catch.
And would have set up the run better in the second half.
And even the first half, the run game was terrific, and they just steered away from it second half.
Yeah.
Let's try to bring it back to the kind of highlights of it, right? There were some good things that happened there, right? The game kicked off. Giles Jackson, 50-yard return.
Young guy.
Right? That was pretty cool. I was hyped up. I was off the couch ready to go, right?
Dude, he slipped. He slipped right away, and I was like, oh, shit. And then he gets to the 50, like, okay, here we go.
They had that nice little flea flicker style toss back, Shea to DPJ, 32 yards or something like that.
Creative play.
That was kind of a cool little play, right? Overall there was some good stuff to see in the first half. Pretty much that was the only place in the game where there was good stuff to see, right?
Yeah.
Nordine, man, was 3 for 3. Right?
That's a first.
Yeah. I know, I'm shocked, but yes, yeah, that was very good to see.
That was good. Yeah, no, and he's coming back, I think.
He's back,
so,
yeah.
That's a positive. In terms of the lowlights in that game, second half, the moment Alabama stepped out on offense, it was pretty much downhill, right? One offensive play from Alabama, 75-yard pass, they're up 7-0. Jerry Jeudy had a career day on us, right?
Over 200 yards receiving.
It was something like 230 yards. Second half was the Najee Harris show. We literally couldn't stop him. I think he carried the ball every down for 75 yards. And then, Jack, you already said it, Shea's overthrows, multiple receiver drops. We just couldn't get it together, it seemed like, in the second half. And we ended up getting shut out, right?
Yeah.
Nate, any thoughts about
The
Alabama game?
I thought it was a solid game, but it's just when Shea can't connect on any of those passes, it pretty much ruined any ability for them to try and get some of these drives rolling and get going, and then maybe it would set up the run a little bit. Maybe they could start spreading the ball out a little bit, but he just misses every single deep ball, and there's really, if you can't connect on and 7 of them, at least 2 of those would have kept the drive going.
It's the inconsistency that killed us all year.
Yeah. This game almost was the story of the entire year, right?
We're able to run the ball dominantly at points in the season.
Yeah.
And then Shea couldn't hit a deep ball. Shea's feet got, he got antsy, happy feet.
It's like the
big plays on defense.
Exactly. Yeah, letting up big plays on defense. This game, this game is a perfect way to
Perfect way to wrap up the season.
Yeah. Does anybody have anything else to say about this game? Because it's almost just what you saw was the product. Right?
McGrone, monster.
Cam McGrone,
dude.
Yeah.
I love Cam McGrone. He's Devin Bush 2.0. I know I've said this multiple times.
Yeah.
God, that dude just keeps busting his ass. Dude, Aiden Hutchinson I thought had a great game and seemed to set that edge pretty well. So I think even despite Jerry Jeudy making a lot of these deep plays, they just had 2 guys who were studs on their team, right?
Actually,
Najee and Jeudy, and then other than that, I feel like we were able to compete with Bama.
I think some of the young guys who got an opportunity early, or especially early in that game, like Chris Hinton, you saw the kind of difference they can make, right? Because we were able to stop the run for the most part in the first half, right? And so that was huge. So if we could play like that against an Ohio State in a regular season, that would be massive for our team.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that the young guys stepped up in the bowl game, and that was awesome to see. Giles Jackson, you guys said McGrone, Hutchinson, It was great to see young guys do well, and especially guys that are going to be coming back next year.
Exactly.
And the guys that were liabilities are going to be gone, which is great.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that if we had any other quarterback in that game, like who could hit some deep balls and just be like pretty consistent? Like who's the Notre Dame quarterback? Ian Book. Like
it would have gone 4 quarters.
It would have gone 4 quarters. Yeah.
100%. Like
she's just so inconsistent, man.
He's so inconsistent. I remember somebody, I think you sent something from an Instagram account. It was like college football flashbacks, like something about like the highlights of the year, and it showed the big hit that McCaffrey took that was targeting against Wisconsin, and that was like that could have been a turning point in the season where he could have taken over that team, and he got hurt, and Shea went back in. I mean, it was something where Shea kind of turned it around after that game, but that could have been a game where. Right. McCaffrey could have been the starter for the remainder of the year if that didn't happen. So, I mean, we could have seen a different outlook. I mean, it's crazy to look at. It's crazy to think about. And I do believe if we had, one of those guys for the entire year at starting quarterback, just because I feel like they played a more consistent level, it would have been a different game.
And I'm not saying that we would have won the Bama game, but it would have been so much closer. And I feel like
the first half we were up. Yeah. We were up at half.
Right, but it was the same old story, right? Can't finish drives in the red zone.
Yep.
And then whatever. I don't even know what to call the second half. Because when you're getting shut out and you can't stop the other team's offense and their defense is smothering you to the point where you have like not even a semblance of a pulse, it's like, is this even a game anymore? Like, what's going on?
It felt like a scrimmage in the like end of the third quarter.
Right. It was like they don't even want to play, it feels like. So that's just frustrating as a fan to see that kind of the season end that way, But life as a Michigan fan goes on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that game was a really good way. I'm going to segue here into that game was a very good representation of what the entire season was, right? So I kind of like to talk a little bit about how do we reflect on this season and this particular team, right? Just kind of general thoughts.
I'll go positives. Okay. We said enough negatives. Gaddis, I think we can all feel comfortable going into next season now.
Yes.
With him as our OC.
I agree.
So that was good to see, reflecting on this past year. Young guys, seeing the young guys kind of step up. Hinton getting some time on the D-line, being able to get some more big bodies out there. Hopefully Mozzie Smith will be ready next year. McGrone having a good year. Our young receivers, we know we've got a bright future for that now coming up.
Even Dax Hill, man. I thought Dax did a great job
this year.
Yeah,
stepped up, looked real good. Yeah,
ended up being a starter end of the year, right? So being able to look back at the young guys and see what we have for the future coming up was really good to see. And then now I'm going to go back to a negative. Don Brown, 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Letting up 50 plus to Ohio State. I mean,
yeah,
it's hard to see.
He's letting up big plays against good teams, and just in general can't seem to stop the good teams, and you just can't do that at Michigan, right? Mm-hmm. You just can't do that if you want to be elite, which is what we claim to be, right?
If you're looking to hit those expectations that are in front of you, I mean that can't happen.
Yeah, right. If you just want to be good, then
whatever. Who cares?
Yeah. Then we're just keep doing what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
Any input?
Well, if this continues in the third year of him being the DC, then
he's gone. He's fired right after the
Actually, I think this is fourth.
This was
year.
His fourth year, yeah.
Yeah, if it's another season like this where you have games that start like the Penn State game or like the Ohio State game, then I don't know what to say. I mean, that just cannot continue. And even in the Alabama game, you're just like, oh my gosh, again! Like, can we just do prevent defense to start the game?
Yeah,
like for real.
Right, because you can't start on that kind of a note, right? No. So. Yeah, I'd say ultimately, right, if you're going to look at the whole season, it's unfortunately, but truthfully, it's considered a failure because we couldn't beat Ohio State and we couldn't even win our bowl game, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's kind of the standard at Michigan, right?
Well, third year in a row, right? We've lost fourth year in a row? We've lost our last 2 games of the year?
Yeah.
But I think the season showed, like, nothing could work right at the beginning of the season, but as it progressed, you saw the team definitely grow and get better, and they at least gave us some hope maybe for next year. And I think everybody recognizes that this season was
kind of a developmental
year. I think people's expectations going in were like, we're going to be so great, we're going to be,
100%.
awesome, blah,
Pick
blah, blah.
to win the Big Ten, all that
Yeah.
kind of
all
stuff.
of that.
And
So
I think
much hype.
anytime you go into another, like a Michigan season, you just have to go like, let's just quit all the crap, like before the year, there's going to be the hype train, and let's just see what they do.
And that's what I'm excited for next year. Not to go too much into it, but new quarterback. We don't know who it is yet. Young guys.
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna be no hype for Michigan next year, and I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, I thought
That's what I'm excited about too. Yeah,
I thought it was really interesting. You guys know Chris Fowler, ESPN reporter.
Yeah.
He said somebody asked him about Michigan, and he said, "Well, nobody's going to pick them next year," which I think is exactly what they need. Because it gives the whole program like a clean slate. Nobody's going to be like, "Oh, Michigan's going to win it all," blah blah blah. Right. So the kids get an opportunity to kind of like write their own story, which is exactly what this team needs.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, due to like kind of early struggles on offense, I mean, it hindered us going forward. Defense, just my opinion, didn't have the right bodies to kind of beat elite. They couldn't stop the run. The run set up the pass, and they just got kind of dogged by these really good teams. So I don't know what you guys think the key to kind of improvement is here. I mean, it just seems like you need to develop, talent at all position groups.
Yeah. And like you said, it's bodies, on the field. So, I mean, we're getting killed by the run, which then turns into getting killed by the pass, and it's just, we're getting murdered out there. So, again, not looking too far into next year, but having hopefully Mozzie Smith and Chris Hinton ready on the D-line with Aiden Hutchinson there, Kwity Paye there, we should have a good, hopefully, two big guys in the middle to kind of help that out and move forward, and then help out with everything else.
That would be huge. And hopefully just a general improvement on that D-line, right? Because we're going to have some young guys. And we'll get into that in a different episode. But
what was your like best moment of the season?
Moment of the season? Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's tough, right?
Do you have one off the top of your head?
I would just say like just beating Michigan State and like knowing that it was like
That's
okay,
true.
they're just done. They're like little like reign of what like just their period of time that they had where they were like a good team. It's done now, and things are back at least to the way that
it should be in the state.
It should be. Yeah.
I think actually the highlight for me was just the like annihilation of Notre Dame.
Yeah,
that was like so unexpected that. For me, when I saw that, I was like, this team gets it. Like, whatever was the problem, because we had just gone through that whole period of like, oh, Shea can't, hold on to the ball, all these issues, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it just like clicked. Hassan Haskins was running, and I was just like, whoa, what happened overnight? This team just is, bullying supposedly an elite team.
Yeah, there was that point where like Gaddis came on the field. I think what game was that?
That was
after the Army
3
game?
or 4.
That was Rutgers, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
after
things
the
kinda
Wisconsin
seemed to
game,
turn around.
yeah.
Yeah.
What do you have a moment for the season, Jay?
I mean, I'd say not to say the same thing, but kind of piggyback off what you said. Haskins kind of coming out of nowhere and like establishing himself as a top 2 running back on the team was really. I mean, it's great to just. Again, be like, Michigan's overhyped every year. We can never meet expectations, and there's this guy that there's no expectation for. Kind of comes out and establishes himself as a leader and a top rusher on the team. That had to be my top moment.
I think another like sleeper moment, which kind of comes behind, is anytime Michael Barrett was on the field with the ball in his hand.
It's exciting.
Yeah,
even though it's very few.
Those are
far
like
between.
Two places, but
it was
they
fun.
were so sweet.
Yeah.
So,
dude, Giles Jackson as a returner just was like, whoa, like that.
Exciting.
That was really positive.
Yeah. That return against Maryland or whatever it was.
Yeah,
kick off the game.
Yeah, that was sweet.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I have some overall grades for offense, defense, some different position groups and stuff like that. Do you guys want to go through them, or
Let's do it. Let's hear what you gotta say. Yeah.
All right. Well, so I was thinking about QBs, right? the QB room in general, they weren't bad. Bad would be like,
Rutgers,
right? So they don't get a D or anything, but I give them a C+. I think they were kind of just above average because there were so many drops from Shea, so many issues about, not taking it on the read option, missing deep balls. There were so many issues, but they were just good enough to like win against the Notre Dames even and the Michigan States. So that's
He had a great second half against Penn State.
He did have, So I mean, there were
it's
like
just the inconsistency, right?
Yeah.
flashes of brilliance, but also just too inconsistent. Running backs, I give them a B-. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean B-. I mean, like I said, like Haskins kind of came out of nowhere. Charbonnet was solid all year. I mean, it depends a lot on the O-line, which I think played well, which I'm sure we'll hear that grade coming up. But I mean, I agree. I think they did as
good
expected.
as they can.
Yeah.
I would say B too. Yeah, especially because they're so young. Like I'm not gonna say like, oh yeah, they were like amazing.
Right.
But I mean, I would say B. I was like generally like was like this is a good running back crew. I honestly think that
And they have depth.
they have depth now. Yeah.
I think kind of going forward, I see that grade improving
At
potentially a lot.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season, it was like, yeah, this is going to be the one area that's lacking the most.
Yeah.
Right?
Because we weren't really
Yep.
sure. Like, we thought Christian Turner was going to be the starter, right? And then Drew Wilson, and then they kind of just both fell off.
Took a back seat.
But even like with, you have Haskins and Charbonnet, like even True could go in there and like make some plays. He had a couple of jukes, and I think
he had
a couple tough runs.
Illinois,
tough
I
runs,
think he played pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I was kind of like, they're pretty good. They just didn't perform at that elite level. They're not, Travis Etienne or nothing.
Right, they're not part of the Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State.
There's no
running
J.K.
back group.
Dobbins.
No,
Yeah.
nothing
Right,
crazy,
exactly.
yeah.
Now, the O-line, I give them an A-. I think they performed very well. They just didn't have the players around them to make you go like, whoa, the O-line's doing really good.
Right. Nothing to make them really shine.
Right.
But I mean, I think the Ohio State game really made where it clicked for me. I was like, damn, this is like, they held their own as they needed to. They gave Shea enough time to make plays. They gave everybody else enough time to make the plays they're supposed to make.
They were able to hold Chase Young.
Yeah.
Like that was like the one game where it was like I was so nervous going into it because it was like, oh crap! If he has a couple big moments, he has a shot to win the Heisman as a defensive player, and that would have just crippled me.
I mean, they even held their own at that Penn State whiteout, right? What's the big DN, that Gross Matos guy?
Yeah.
At Penn State. I mean, I think he had 1 sack in that game, which is pretty good considering. So I think they deserve a lot of credit for this year.
Yeah, they did great. Ed Warner did a great job.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to what they got going forward. Wide receivers, I give them a B. I think the wide receivers were good in general, and we saw some guys break out like Ronnie Bell, or even like kind of Sainristil and Giles Jackson, right? Nico had a good year. I think DPJ didn't live up to his hype, but I mean, it was good to have him out there.
I feel like there's guys where it's like overall maybe like B-, and some guys were like C, other guys were like A,
Right.
I would say like for the young guys like Sainristil and Giles Jackson, like dude, they killed it. They killed it way above any expectations I had going into the season. And then guys like DPJ, it was like, dude, I know he was hurt at the beginning of the year, but it's like it just seemed like he was dropping balls and
he was dropping a lot of balls.
And guys like Tariq were pretty much didn't have any
non-factor.
Non-factor. But I think guys like Ronnie, I would give him a B, but he definitely needs to work on some of his hands, dude, because he dropped some balls.
He dropped some important balls.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree. I'm gonna say B-.
Yeah.
Just inconsistency, drop balls in big games.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Ronnie Bell against Penn State.
Yeah.
Love the guy, but it was a drop. It was
touchdown
pass.
catch
That was
it.
right in your gut.
Yeah.
And then Ohio State, I mean, too many drop balls.
Too many
where that
drops.
could have been a way closer game than it was.
Yeah.
But I mean, we had a lot of talent, like you guys said. DPJ never really lived up to the hype of his career at Michigan, and never mind. But yes,
But do you want to talk about it? This is my. I want to talk about the guys who are leaving. My opinion, and number one, I'll say this: if a guy wants to go to the pros, I'll support it. You can do what you want. Hey, I don't understand your financial situation, so do you and go to the NFL if you want to. But I do think that we've seen guys who go to the NFL early and then it doesn't pan out because I think there's this whole notion of I'm the best player on my team, and then you go to the NFL draft and you're like, oh my God, there's all these other dudes here. And I think having that extra year is a really huge benefit. I think Chase Winovich getting drafted in the 3rd round, he would have been maybe like a 5th or 6th round pick had he had left his senior year and not stayed for a 5th year.
Right.
There is always the chance that you're going to get hurt, right? But there's also the chance that you go to the NFL, day one you get hurt, right? I think that it is more beneficial to get the experience as much as you can, learn as much as you can, get yourself a higher draft pick. And the whole point to me sometimes of college football is to learn these skills as best as you can, work as hard as you can, build your weight up as much as you can, so that when you go into the pros, it's
smooth sailing.
It's smooth, right? But if you just go in too early, you might be rushing it, and then it could end up being bad. And I hope it's not for both of these guys because I definitely really like them as players, but I really just think that they should have stayed for a senior year. I think DPJ really has not shown us really anything. And is he a good player? Yeah, he's a great player. But is he best wide receiver in his class, 5-star? No, he was not that. We can all say that honestly, he was not up to that amount. I think Nico and Ronnie were bigger impacts and throughout the entire season.
Yeah.
And then guys like Caesar, it's again, you're going to be a 5th round draft pick, but you have more potential. Right now he's rated as the 4th center in the draft, but there's no guarantee you get taken 2nd, 3rd round pick. And if you're getting taken in the 5th round, there's no even guarantee that you even make the cut. If you're a 2nd round pick, which you could be if you stay another season, then you have more ability to ensure that you'll be on the team for 1 year, right? It just really upset me that these guys decided to leave early, and I'll say, hey man, I wish you the best, but I thought that they should have stayed another year, and that's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, just to play some devil's advocate in terms of DPJ, you're saying he wasn't a big playmaker and things like that, but we also talk a lot of smack about who's throwing the ball to him.
That's right? True, yeah.
So, I mean, do you think that maybe in the NFL they always talk about DPJ, he's got an NFL-ready body, he's basically a clone of Julio Jones, all these kinds of things. Do you think, okay, now we put him on the Seahawks with DK Metcalf next to him and Russell Wilson throwing the ball to him, all of a sudden DPJ starts putting up monster numbers. What do you say about something like that?
The reason I don't believe that would be the case, I hope it is for him, is guys like Ronnie Bell and Nico Collins were still able to stand out with Shea Patterson at quarterback.
Yeah.
And to go back to kind of what you said about, you can come back the next year and improve and get better, and you understand, there is always a concern that you might get hurt if you don't go to the draft. Mm-hmm. But if you do go to the draft and you get hurt that first year in the NFL, you're still getting paid. You got luckily you got your paycheck. So I'm with you. I think DPJ should have came back. I don't personally. I believe he didn't really prove anything. I mean, I think having him on punt return, honestly, I think hurt him more than anything because he did not do a great job at that at all, and it really was wow, but is he even talented?
Now that I think about it, I mean, it's easy to say that because some things in my mind stand out when he made mistakes. But when I think about it a little harder, there's a lot of times where he made some really awesome plays.
Guess what teams?
Because
I only remember against the really shitty teams.
Well,
he made nice plays.
Sometimes
right? There's times where he's out there, he's stuck in space, he doesn't know where to go.
Yes,
I was never a huge fan of DPJ. I mean, I like him as a kid. I mean, I'm glad he's in the NFL. He's going to get paid.
Wish him the best. All that good stuff.
But I'm with you. I think he could have improved a lot with a second-year system. with Josh Gaddis having a more solid quarterback.
Yep.
Where maybe he's getting better balls and he can have a bigger year, and maybe he could have been like who knows? I mean, if he's being compared to Julio Jones and he has, a great senior year, maybe he's a top 15 pick. So
All of a sudden,
I think he could have drastically improved his draft stock.
See, like,
But again, you never know if you're going to get hurt. Get paid while you can.
when the thing is though, like that paycheck, say you get like hurt maybe like day one. I don't know all the amount of money.
How it works
but,
out, yeah.
But like if you're a second rounder or a first rounder, like, and you get hurt, you're guaranteed to be on the team. Like, and guaranteed probably next year, they're not going to say like, oh, we spent a second round guy. We're a second rounder on this guy. We're going to keep him.
Fifth rounder.
Right,
And
you're a fifth round, you make a cut.
Even if you're in the fifth round and say you're making like $400,000 or like $500,000 or $600,000, like, I mean, yeah, that's good money, but that's not like life lasting money.
Right.
Where it's like if you get second or first round, like, and you're smart with your money, you're done.
Yeah.
You're set.
Yeah.
But if you get $600,000, like, and you don't have plans or you don't have a degree, good luck, dude. So I think like it does, and I want to say this too. The draft this year has a ton of wide receivers. It's known this year as being one of the best drafts to get a wide receiver in. There's so much depth at that position this year. That's where it goes like, you're now not even now in the top 5.
Who are the top 3 wide receivers in this class?
Judy, Jefferson.
Is Jamar Chase, is he gone after this year?
From
LSU?
I think he's a sophomore or something.
He's a sophomore.
There's Chase is the dude from Texas. There's
oh yeah.
Gosh,
yeah.
I feel like
I think there's 2 guys from
Johnson
Alabama.
or whatever from Texas. I think was the guy's name. Okay.
Everybody in Alabama.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Anybody who wants to go to the draft.
Would you take DPJ or would you take Waddle? Waddle's the number 4.
100%.
You take Waddle.
Yeah.
Right? He's such a
Of
great
course.
return guy, right?
Right.
Judy. I mean, like, dude, it's like I'm just disappointed because I feel like, these guys have so much potential, and I feel like they could have got more out of 1 year.
Yeah.
And I just always want. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I love your sales pitch for come to Michigan and stay here for the extra year. Don't go to the NFL just yet.
And it's not even the extra year for these guys should get a degree and they should blah blah blah. Like, screw the degree. It doesn't matter. Like, whatever, dude.
Matter,
Yeah. Like, seriously, it does not matter. Like, you're not getting a degree that's going to be worthwhile anyways because you're going to be spending your whole time in football.
Yeah,
right?
True.
So if you're going to be getting a degree in football, you might as well stay 4 years and get that degree in football.
And you're talking about the guys that had the opportunity to improve.
Improve.
Right, exactly.
Correct.
Okay,
Guys like Judy, go.
Yeah, go.
If you're
the best.
If you're gonna be a
go.
first round pick, even guys like Jabril, you go like, that was a smart choice.
Yeah.
He was a first round solid pick, done.
I think Nick Saban said what he always tells his players is if you're not going to be a first round pick, come back.
Yeah.
If I think that you can be, then I tell you you should probably go. Which I think is great advice.
Yeah.
Because that makes total sense, right?
Yeah.
So 100% agree with you. We're getting off track.
I'm sorry.
Let's go. What do we got?
That's good stuff because we're going to come back to it in another episode. But anyway, so we were talking about wide receivers. Overall, I give the whole offense a B- on the season. I think that, they started off slow, but they picked it up and they showed some glimpses where I was like, whoa, this offense can be high-powered. This offense can be really good, but they just need to, dot the I's, cross the T's. All of a sudden, they got an A, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's any takes on that. I think
move on.
we can all agree. Right?
Yeah.
Offense, beginning of the season, F.
Yes.
F.
Yeah, I can agree with that too.
Right? At the end of the season, like C plus B.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Well,
So
besides
how do
the
you-
one position.
How do you round out the offense? What's your total offense grade whole season?
Oh, dude. I don't know. I'd like C. Probably C.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give it a C+.
Average. Okay. Yeah. And then, moving on to the defense. I give the defensive line a C+. Because I only like Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson's flying around the field. He's making plays. He's batting balls. I'm like, dude, this guy is a monster. Everybody else, I don't even really know their name. So
yeah, dude, I didn't hear much from Carlo Kemp at all this year.
No.
There's so much room for improvement in the defensive line. Why are we running 3 guys up front and then like bringing a linebacker into blitz? And that's how we. I don't know. Defensive line can improve. Put Chris Hinton on there and let him gain 25 pounds and just stand in front of Dobbins or something.
That's the thing to note, though, too, is that he's a freshman. Usually, like, we've seen Michigan post those. A lot of the players posted, their like weight gain throughout the season. It was like, I remember it was like Joe Milton.
Yeah.
It was like 215, now it's 245.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap! Like, to think about a guy like Chris Hinton who's already big, maybe you get bigger in his first year, his first off season. Maybe we can get some guys who are getting close, pushing 300 pounds.
Yeah,
So
that would be huge. We need it, right? Linebackers. I say linebackers B. I thought Josh Uche did a good job. Who else am I
McGrone?
McGrone. I thought McGrone was just
Glasgow was running like he's in molasses, but he was decent enough.
Glasgow, he gets some flack, but I mean, the guy's got a high motor. He's out there,
Plays hard.
dude, his pump block this season was
fucking awesome.
insane.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, like I feel like that guy, he'll like get on an NFL team and he'll just be like such a hard worker, and he'll be playing like on special teams.
You know who he reminds me of? Chase Winovich.
Yeah,
where he's
he
just
does.
a guy who's just all in.
Bust his ass.
Yeah.
Like you say jump, he says how high, and then he doesn't do it, but he tries.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I give you B for linebackers. I mean, Glasgow worked his ass. I think all those guys worked their ass off all season long, and
It's really sad to see Josh Ross get hurt. But
Yeah.
it is a positive that we got him next year.
Yeah.
I think he's going to do a great job.
Yeah.
Hopefully he stays healthy.
He got Wally pipped, right?
Well, dude, he's going to have a role on the team next year.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
He's going to find a spot for him, for sure.
With Kalik and Glasgow being gone,
Yeah.
too. I mean, he's going to be in the regular rotation.
Yeah.
Corners. I give corners B-. I think they did fine, but they got burned on some big plays, out of position, stuff like that.
And I think it has something to do with the scheme they're calling.
Yeah, it's hard to grade those kinds of things. Most of the time I feel like they're doing their job, but when they're not doing their job, you see it, right?
Everybody takes advantage of it.
Right.
But I'm excited to see more of Vincent Gray next year.
Yeah, I think that
he was he had some bright spots early on in the year.
Yeah. But moving on to the safeties, I give safeties a B. I'm tired of seeing the back of Metellus' jersey. And I think he's going to be gone. I think he's a senior.
Although he had some good plays this year.
But
when it comes to like playing against elite players, like it's.
Well, yeah, KJ Hamler. I'm reading Metellus' number off. That kind of stuff.
I'd give him a C+.
Yeah,
I'd say they're above average, but yeah, too many times we're getting burned.
Yeah,
deep balls. Killing us.
And that's where I struggle too, because like you're saying, it's
the scheme they're calling. Yeah, it could be anything.
So it's hard to grade. I give defense overall C+, B-, somewhere kind of in between that. Same old story. We beat up on crappy teams, and we can't beat really good elite teams. So something needs to change. Yeah. Moving into some coaching, OC, I give him a B-. Gaddis, we already kind of touched on this. Struggled early, came back and showed some good things. I think after a year of people learning the system, developing talent, bringing in some guys that match his scheme, I think next year will be the real kind of bright spot. Hopefully, knocking on something.
And I think, too, his argument at the beginning of the season was that there was poor execution. And I think we can say, yeah, he was probably a little bit right on some of that. There was some bad play calls, but there's some bad execution, man. So,
But the play calling, I believe, improved throughout the year.
Yeah,
I think so too.
Drastically.
Yeah.
But the execution was just something that could never really get ironed out. So I'd give Gaddis if play calling looked as good at the end of the year as it did or at the beginning of the year as he did at the end of the year, I'd give him A-.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where he became, like, people became more comfortable with him calling plays, and he also became more comfortable with the players, right?
Yeah.
Where he felt trust, okay, I'll give Hassan the ball, I'll give Ronnie the ball, those kinds of things.
That makes me excited for next year.
Right, exactly. So, honestly, offense, I think, can really only go up. So,
yeah. Once we get a solid quarterback back there, we'll be good.
Yeah. Defensive coordinator, I'm giving him a C.
Yeah.
Because, like we're saying,
It's the same story.
Same story over and over, yeah.
It's tough. What was a story we were talking about? That he needs a co-OC to, like, reel him in, right? I'm all for that, so whatever. I got my Jimmy grade. Jim Harbaugh, I give him a C+. Because I give him a plus because he had to hire Gaddis, but he gets a C because he's just doing an average job, in my opinion. Any thoughts?
God, so I still love Harbaugh. I don't want anybody else right now.
Yes.
But I don't know. Yeah,
I'll give him a B
fine.
minus.
Yeah, I'm fine with
minus.
what he's doing. I'll give him
Yeah.
I'll give him a B.
Okay.
If it was his fifth year, and
Gaddis was a great hire.
Gaddis was a great hire. That's why I give him the plus.
Yeah, yeah. I think maybe he needs to get ballsy and make a decision on Don Brown. And I think maybe it takes next year. And if Don Brown can't figure it out against Ohio State for a third year in a row, I think that's something where you got to cut him even before the bowl game. Just,
You just got to nip it in the bud.
Nip it in the bud. Like, sorry, you're not doing what we need you to do.
Yeah, well...
And again, I'm not a guy to hey, like, get rid of him. But it's like, that's the expectation that we're kind of shooting for, right? And like, if you're living, like, you don't even give us an opportunity to win.
Yeah,
50 plus points.
We've had 5 years to figure it out, and
it's tough. Like you said, we're taking advantage of the mediocre teams, but once we play a good team, we can't keep it close. So,
yeah,
I think some of there was points in this season, like during the games, like, why are they calling a timeout like now? Like, what are they doing? Like, or it was like, you're not even like play number 1 at Penn State. They weren't even ready.
Oh,
they went out there and they had to call timeout.
Well, I think it was delay a game.
Delay a game.
Yeah.
And there was another game where they had to call timeout ready. At the beginning, I'm just like, how are we not ready? Like, that stuff pisses me off.
Before the first 15 plays should be scripted, right?
I mean, that stuff is tough at Penn State where it's so loud, and I understand some of that. But I'm also like, you're going to Penn State. There's a whiteout and it's going to be loud. Why are we not? We should be in Glick Fieldhouse with the speakers maxed out, practicing, right?
Yeah.
So, like, some of that stuff, but you give Jim a B-.
B-. I thought he did the best job he could with some of the. Well, not the best job, but I would say like it was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't great, but there were some limitations.
All right.
And I don't think that's all on him.
Overall grade on this year, Jack.
C+.
Okay. Nate?
Yeah, I'm gonna go B-.
I went B- as well. Only reason I went B- was I said, well, you know what? Jim has now, in my opinion, established we can beat Michigan State, and we can beat them soundly every year going forward. I would feel comfortable saying that. So I'm like, that's one rival down. And now we beat Notre Dame. If we can start making that a habit, that would be 2 rivals down, right? And it's that last hump. It's that last, okay, now we got to beat Ohio State. And if he could beat all 3 next year, I don't know if we play Notre Dame next year.
Not until 2033.
Yeah.
Well, got a few years in between.
If we could beat, Penn State, Wisconsin,
that would be big.
And Michigan State, and beat Ohio State next year, then
if we can compete in the Big Ten, at least up to Ohio State,
right?
Then it's something, right? But Ohio State still needs to be something that we need to be able to accomplish, right?
And
but my expectations for next year, not that they beat Ohio State. My hope for next year would be like, okay, they beat Penn State, Wisconsin, and Michigan State, and they play a close game against Ohio State. Like, I would be satisfied with that.
Well, we got close to that last year, right? We beat Wisconsin, Penn State, Michigan State.
Yeah, then we got crapped.
And then we got destroyed by Ohio State.
Yeah.
So he's kind of been tiptoeing that line where he's kind of like, well, I can beat a lot of these teams most of the time. Some of the rivals have kind of turned the tide on, and I just need to build that consistency and then compete with the elite teams.
Yeah.
That's a hard, hurdle to jump, but that's where we're at, right?
One thing, and I know we already touched on like the young talent, but like when it comes to like Jim and the team, like the recruiting class from this year, like that came in, they did a great job. Like I would rank them pretty highly, like overall compared. Like we had so many guys, freshmen, like having roles on our team for the first time in a long time, right?
That's great.
Yeah.
First time in a long time.
It always felt like, freshmen came in, they redshirted, they maybe played a little bit, and then junior year they were starters. But this year I was like, oh, there's Dax Hill, blowing up someone on punt return. There's so-and-so, right? That feels great. And I think that actually does really well for our recruiting going forward, where it's like, if you're good, you can
play right away, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we see that go somewhere. But otherwise, yeah, B-, C+ on the season. It's kind of unfortunate. Final record was what, 9-4?
9-4.
But, dude, we got Bama in the bowl game. Penn State gets Memphis.
Yeah.
Dude, we should have just won another game. We would have played Memphis.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Dude, you had a better season and then got rewarded with a easy fucking bowl game.
Or you could have played USC like Iowa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Iowa ran through them.
Yeah.
That was shocking to me. I picked USC in that game. I thought Keaton Slow was about to throw all over Iowa, but
the thing about that bowl game, when we were playing Alabama, I was like, we're pretty good. Like, we're pretty good. Like,
we look all right.
We just can't get things in sync
Yeah.
for a full game where it's,
That's where it's tough, right? I mean, it's that last step. It's so crucial, but it's the most difficult part, right?
I was listening to the Indiana-Tennessee. I was watching that game, that bowl game, and the guy made like a comment that said like every one of these teams is always trying to get over that hump, and they always seem to have issues, right? Indiana can't win a bowl game. They've been to the bowl game. They're up in that game by like 15 points with like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, something like that, and they lost.
Yeah.
They couldn't get over the hump, right? So it's like you got teams like Indiana that can't get over the hump, like Tennessee, I guess, can't get over the hump, but there's all these different teams out there that just can't make that extra step.
Yep.
And I feel like Michigan is so close, right? And so that's all I gotta say.
and they can't take that extra step. I agree with you. It's almost like Oklahoma, right? They're on the similar by principle, right? Only their last step is winning college football playoff, right? Mm-hmm. They make it to the first game. They can have a Heisman, QB with, top round draft pick receivers. Their defense is suspect,
right?
But they just can't. Whether it's Georgia, whether it's who do they play? LSU.
Yeah.
Yeah.